Urban legends are one of humanity's strangest and most fascinating traditions. They're stories that live somewhere between fact and fiction, stories that feel possible even when they shouldn't. We've all heard one. Maybe it was a friend of a friend who swore their cousin saw Bloody Mary. Maybe it was the story about a car that stalked people on back roads, or the babysitter who got a call from inside the house. These tales linger in our memories because they sound so real, yet always leave a trace of mystery. But where do these stories actually come from? Who created them? And why do people all over the world keep telling them, generation after generation? Urban legends don't just appear out of nowhere, they grow, they evolve, and they adapt to fit the times we live in. In a way, they're a reflection of us, of our fears, our morals, and the questions we can't quite answer. Tonight, we're diving deep into the origins of urban legends, where they came from, how they spread, and why, even in our modern world of facts and science, we still find ourselves believing them. To understand how urban legends began, we have to go all the way back thousands of years, to a time before written language. Back then, storytelling was more than entertainment. It was survival. Before science explained thunder or disease, humans used stories to make sense of the unknown. Every strange sound in the forest became a spirit. Every shadow on the wall became a warning. Myths, legends, and folktales were how people taught each other about danger, morality, and the unseen world. A story about a monster in the woods wasn't just to scare children. It was to keep them from wandering too far and getting lost. These early tales were passed from mouth to mouth, changing slightly with each retelling. Over time, they grew into full mythologies, vast, interconnected webs of gods, spirits, and creatures. But at their core, they all did the same thing. They helped people understand their world and they kept them safe from it. Urban legends are simply the modern evolution of that ancient impulse. The monsters may have changed, ghosts instead of demons, killers instead of dragons, but the purpose remains. Every urban legend is, in some way, a warning. The phrase urban legend didn't appear until the 20th century. Folklorists began using it around the 1960s to describe new kinds of myths, stories that felt real, took place in recognizable settings, and involved ordinary people instead of mythical heroes. Unlike old folktales, these stories weren't set in forests or castles. They happened in suburbs, gas stations, motels, and shopping malls. They featured modern fears, strangers, technology, crime, and coincidence. They weren't about gods punishing humanity, but about something terrible that might happen to you. And that's what made them so believable. Urban legends were rooted in familiarity. They used real locations, realistic situations, and a tone of "this really happened." A friend of a friend always seemed to know the person involved. Even when the story was impossible, it sounded like it could be true, and that's what kept people passing it along. The urban in urban legend didn't just mean city, it meant modern. These were the myths of an industrialized world, built on highways and headlines instead of ancient temples and shrines. Fear, control, and cautionary tales. If you look closely, you'll notice that almost every urban legend carries a hidden message, a warning, a moral, or a reflection of what society is afraid of. Take the legend of the Hookman. Two teenagers drive out to a secluded area, park their car, and hear on the radio that an escaped killer with a hook hand is on the loose. When they get scared and drive away, they find a bloody hook hanging from the door handle. It's not just a horror story, it's a moral tale disguised as one. It warns against recklessness, teenage lust, and sneaking away from safety. Many of the most famous urban legends share that pattern. They tap into real anxieties about crime, sexuality, strangers, technology, and the changing world, and turn them into digestible stories that people remember. There's something comforting about a story that explains fear through a clear narrative. Instead of facing random chaos, the legend gives it a cause and a consequence. The moral helps people feel like they have control, as if following the rules might protect them from the unknown. That's one reason these stories last so long. They make fear manageable. The media and the spread of modern myths. Before the internet, urban legends spread through word of mouth. They were told at sleepovers, passed around schoolyards, whispered at campfires, and retold at work. But as media evolved, these stories found new and faster ways to travel. In the mid-1900s, newspapers began printing mysterious tales and human interest, horror stories, disappearances, ghost sightings, haunted houses. Radio shows added dramatic retellings, and television soon turned these tales into visual entertainment. Shows like Unsolved Mysteries and The Twilight Zone blurred the line between fact and fiction, helping urban legends reach millions. But everything changed once the internet arrived. Suddenly, anyone could share a story instantly with thousands of strangers. A creepy post on a message board could go viral overnight. Chain emails spread stories about cursed images, haunted websites, and deadly phone numbers. And from that digital world, a new kind of folklore was born, the creepypasta. Stories like Slender Man, the Russian sleep experiment, and Jeff the Killer weren't just modern ghost stories. They were participatory myths. People added to them, created fake evidence, and turned fiction into collective belief. It was the same old process that kept oral legends alive for centuries, only now it happened at the speed of Wi-Fi. So why do people believe these stories, even when there's no proof? Why do we cling to tales of ghosts, monsters, and mysteries in a world filled with science and logic? Psychologists have a few theories. One is called cognitive bias. Our brains are wired to prefer simple explanations for complex or frightening things. If something strange happens, it's easier to believe in a curse or spirit than to accept that the world is random and unpredictable. Another theory is social fear reflection. Urban legends mirror the collective anxieties of the time. When crime is high, we get legends about killers and kidnappers. When new technology emerges, we hear stories about haunted computers or cursed phone numbers. The content changes, but the emotion stays the same. And perhaps the biggest factor is trust. Urban legends rarely come from strangers, they come from people we know. A friend of a friend said it happened. That personal connection makes the story feel legitimate, even when it's not. It's a strange mix of skepticism and belief that lives right in the middle of our social instincts. Today, urban legends evolve faster than ever. Social media lets them spread worldwide in hours. A creepy photo, a vague post, or a mysterious video can spark an entire narrative before anyone checks the facts. Platforms like Reddit, YouTube, and TikTok have become the new campfires, where people gather to tell and retell modern myths. The difference now is that we can add visuals, fake photos, distorted audio, found footage. All of it gives these legends a new sense of realism. The line between what's real and what's created has never been thinner. And yet we keep coming back to them, because deep down people want to believe. We want to think the world still has mysteries left in it. That maybe, just maybe, there are things science can't explain, things hiding in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. The real meaning behind urban legends. When you strip away the fear and the superstition, urban legends are really about connection. They're how we share experiences, express fears, and make sense of chaos together. They're modern folklore proof that no matter how advanced society becomes, storytelling will always be part of human nature. Every generation creates its own monsters and mysteries, tailored to the fears of its time. In the 1950s, it was atomic monsters. In the 1980s, it was satanic cults and killer toys. Today, it's haunted AI, backroom dimensions, and lost files hidden somewhere online. Urban legends are our cultural heartbeat. They show us what we're afraid of and what we're fascinated by. They evolve with us, and as long as humans crave mystery, they'll never disappear. So how did urban legends come to be? The answer is simple. They came from us. From our need to explain the unexplainable, to warn others of danger, and to find meaning in fear. They're living reflections of our society, stories that adapt, mutate, and survive just like we do. In a world of facts, data, and proof, they remind us that part of us still belongs to the unknown. Because sometimes, the scariest part of any story is how easily it could be true. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the origins of urban legends, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more explorations into mystery, folklore, and the strange corners of human belief. And let me know in the comments, what's the urban legend you grew up hearing?